What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Ready to Love, Season 5, Episode 10. Excuse me, Episode 10. Baby bodies was dropping all over the place in this episode, honey. Let's get to it. First of all, Ready to Love. Y'all definitely hit me with a shocker. I was not ready. I did not think in a million years that Cornelius would be the person that would be eliminated. We left off last week with not knowing whether it was Cornelius or Naeem. We saw Zadia talking to Naeem, and we saw Camille talking to Cornelius. Cornelius was the person that was voted off, and Camille said, listen, I don't have a connection with anybody else here. And so with that being said, I'm going to leave when you leave. And I think that was the best decision. Look, at this point in the process, I think if the person you have a connection with gets voted off and you don't have any other connections, there really is no reason for you to be there. Again, if this is about us finding the couples and, playing the game to the end, it's really two different games going on here. It's finding love, but it's also being able to finesse that finding love so you make it to the end. Because the goal is to make it to the end. I don't know why. I don't know what if the goal is to find love, then why does it matter who makes it to the end? But it's a TV show. That's why it matters. Okay. Zadia told Naeem, basically that, a lot of the ladies said that they didn't have a connection with him and they haven't had an opportunity, but, that, ultimately they're going to give him another chance. Okay. So they're still at the house. I thought everybody was leaving, but no, just that guy voted off had to leave. And then, like I said, Camille left with him. So we get to see Phil have a conversation with Shiloh. And Phil, he has a really good connection with her and he's really interested. And she, likes Phil. And she said, she just wants them to start being more intentional in the decision. Intentional in, is this what we're doing? And Phil was like, I wasn't ready to lock in permanently with her, but I'm definitely ready to say you are my top. I don't mean you my woman, but you my top. And remember, 2 episodes ago, everybody had Phil in their top. So I think the fact that we've narrowed it down for Phil, good job. We saw Aisha and Dante meet up, and they sort of solidified everything. Dante said that, he wasn't really alarmed at the fact that she kind of showed her ass a little bit at the dinner the night before, because he said, listen, sometimes we all get pushed to that point. Sometimes we all get pushed. And I like how he did this, because she was actually getting ready to go there again. She was getting ready to go there again, and he sort of redirected her and was like, okay, but that was, we're not going back down that road. Me and you. Let's talk about me and you. And he said that Aisha basically is his number one. That's who he locked in on at this point. And he does owe Zadia a conversation. And I felt like that was respectful, that he, felt that he needed to give Zadia a conversation. Frank and Numin. This is interesting, because for the last 3 episodes, Frank has only been looking in one direction, and that is to Sydney. And now he's saying that Numin is also one of his tops, and I thought her not wanting to have sex had kind of eliminated her from the bunch, but I guess not. But Frank said that her and Sydney are still his top, and that he's interested and he really likes what he sees there. And he's, honestly, in my opinion, y'all, I really think Frank just hedging his bets at this point, because I feel like as a reviewer, I'm at a disadvantage, because I feel like there's so much that we don't see. And so I'm reviewing what you're showing me, but a lot of times I don't feel like I have the complete story. And what I mean by that is, the last time we saw Frank have any sort of interaction with Mumin, other than the Friends thing, and that actually, was she the one that he even brought to the Friends? It was Sydney. Maybe it was Sydney and her. When they went out for putt-putt, and she said she wanted to that she was abstinent, and he was kind of like, ooh. So, but for all I know, they might have, maybe she's not even abstinent no more. I don't know. But it looked weird, because it looked like Frank went from A to Z. Because it looked like he was all in on Sydney, and now it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. So I don't know, and I don't want to give Frank a bad rap. I think this is editing. I think it's what we're not seeing. That's just my opinion, child. But they had a nice little date down on the National Mall. Okay, that's a nice place to go. I've been on a couple of midnight strolls down to the reflecting pool myself. It's a nice little romantical place to hang out on a date. Okay. And so it was nice, you know, they had a good time. So then we see Then we see Sabrina and yes we do. Next we see Dante and Zadia in the meetup from hell. So Dante met up with Zadia to basically let her know she's no longer his number one. And again, he said he wanted to be respectful because they had spent a lot of time together. They had sort of bonded and connected. But, you know, the way things went down at the retreat house just really left a bad taste in his mouth. And he just really wasn't here for it anymore. You know, Aisha just sort of slid her way into the top. And he wanted to be respectful and tell Zadia that to her face. And honestly, I can't be mad at him about that. Now, Zadia was in her feelings because Zadia said that she felt blindsided in deliberations. And he was like, what you mean? Well, why you let me go in there? I didn't know anything about the massage. I didn't know anything about you and Aisha getting closer. And then I go into deliberations and I get blindsided by that. I would have never done that to you. He was like, what you talking about? He said, every time I've been into deliberations, I found out something you did with somebody else. Like, that's what this is about. He was like, we're here. It's a process. That's what we're here to do. So you sitting here acting like you wouldn't have done it to me. You did. You have. And let me tell y'all, look, I'm going to cut through all the bullshit, okay? Because I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with who said this and who said that. Here's the problem. And Zadia even said it. When she got, at the end of this, she got mad. Because let me say this. They got to arguing. Zadia was like, well, if that's what you want, fine. That's what you want. She gets up and she walks away. And then she calls somebody, and she probably called that girlfriend that you shouldn't call when you mad, because that's the girlfriend that's going to hype you up and tell you, girl, you right. You better go back in there. You better cuss his ass out. Don't you walk away. That's probably who she called, because then she came back, and that's when she got all in his face, and that's when she was slamming her finger against his nose. And here's the thing, y'all, and this is at a sidebar. It may not seem like a big deal. Like, oh, well, all she did was tap his nose. It may not seem like a big deal. I get that. But I want, for everybody who's saying that that's not a big deal and it wasn't a big deal what she did, what I want you to do is reverse it. Close your eyes. Reverse it. Have Zadia sitting down and Dante angry in her face, tapping her nose. How'd that feel? Feel like it's a big deal now? Feel like it might be a problem? Feel like Dante might have been out of line, doing too much, a little aggressive? Remember how mad Zadia got last week when they were using the language aggressive, and she was like, oh no, we're not going to use that. We're not going to go there. We're not going to call nobody aggressive. Remember how mad she got about that last week? Remember how upset that made her? Give me another adjective to describe how she was acting. But here's what it boils down to. And I said this last night on the panel. If y'all not checking out the Ready to Love panel over on Kamisha Reviews, I better get over there. But I said this last week on the panel. Here's what this boils down to. Zadia thinks she's better than Aisha. And it is hurting her ego to think that someone who she deems is beneath her got this man up from up off of her. And she even said it, that Aisha is not smart, and Aisha is not this, and Aisha is not that. So in her mind, she's better than Aisha. And how dare he choose her over me? That's what this boils down to, ladies and gentlemen. I told y'all that last week. And for those who didn't believe me or thought I was just, doing the reading too deep, she said it. She said it. Zadia, not a good look. Not a good look. Anyway, so Zadia finally left, and I'm sure that Dante, in his mind, everything that he thought, it was confirmed. Like, all of it was confirmed in his mind. Like, well, I definitely dodged that bullet. Thank you so much, right? Then we have a date with Sabrina and Walter. Now, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to need them to stop bringing up the fact that Sabrina was a dancer. I'm going to just need them to stop doing it. They brought it up here at dinner, and then Walter brought it up in the deliberating room with the guys. That ain't, listen, if Sabrina wanted all of them to know she was a dancer, Sabrina would have told all of them she was a dancer. Sabrina told you, Walter. She told you. Now, granted, it doesn't sound like it's anything she's ashamed about. She said that, you know, her home situation wasn't great. And when she turned 17, 18, whatever it was, she left home. She never came back. And she had to figure it out. She said, but it made her a better person. You know, it made her a more confident person. She said she had a lot of self-esteem issues, and it made her a more confident person because she felt like she was in control. She had control of her body. She had control of her sexuality, okay? And so she does not sound that she lives in any regrets about it, but I do respect the fact that she's like, listen, I need to let you know just in case we run into one of your boys who said he saw me and he slid a 20 up in my G-string one night, okay? I need you to know so that you don't get embarrassed because I'm not embarrassed by it. But I don't want you to get embarrassed by somebody knowing something about your woman that you don't know. That is how a lady handles herself, okay? That is what a lady should do. And if the situation were reversed, Walter should do the same thing for her and say, listen, I used to be Mr. Wiggle Wiggle back in the day, okay? Shout out to Wiggles. If y'all live in the DMV area, y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? But he should do the same thing in reverse. But he's talking about something. It still gives him a little bit of a pause, but what you pausing about? What you pausing about, Walter? Now, Walter, I like you. I have liked you from the beginning, Walter, but don't do this. Don't turn this into something bigger. Don't do it. Okay? But they had a nice dinner. Definitely seem like they are bonded. Mumin is definitely not in the top anymore. It is. So we're seeing so this weekend was perfect. The weekend retreat actually really worked out because it did solidify some things. Okay, we got rid of Camille and Cornelius, who they had solidified their connection weeks ago. Great. Bye. Time to go. Then we have, looks like Phil and Shiloh. Okay. It looks like it's going to be Walter and Sabrina. Okay. It looks like it's going to be Naeem and Zadia. Okay. The only question mark that's still up in the air is this Frank, Mumin, Sydney situation. That's what it seems like to me. Maybe Phil, Sydney, maybe we got a four-way situation, but I don't think it's really that big of a four-way. I think they just showing us all the different dates at this point because I really think, like I said, I already told y'all what I think about the Phil and Sydney thing. Frank and Sydney thing. I think they was already together before we even came on the show personally, but that's just me. Or either that or they always wanted to hook up and this just gave them the opportunity to do what they always wanted to do. Anyway, so then we see... And the other thing was, Sabrina said that she sort of felt like Walter may have chosen her by default a little bit. And so she's definitely still moving cautiously because she said when her and Walter are together, they have a great connection. But he's not a great communicator outside of that. He's not great with the phone and texting and calling kind of thing. And that's just something y'all gonna have to work on. Now, I think it's a combination because Mumin said the same thing. I think it's a combination because Walter was like, well, I was just trying to give you your space, trying to do the right thing. I think in this process, maybe Walter is not pressing people out. Also, you got to juggle, like I said before, you juggling 7 to 8 people you talking to every night, texting every day. It's a lot. But I think in a one-on-one situation where if he makes a full commitment, I feel like Walter is the kind of person that is fully there and fully committed. And I don't think a good morning text or a how was your day phone call is out of his realm of ability. You feel what I'm saying? Anyway, so then we have Sydney and Phil meet up. And honestly, I don't see no sparks there. I don't. I mean, Sydney... Again, same thing I'm going to say about Frank. For the last 3 episodes, you was locked in. It was just you and Frank. Now, all of a sudden, you open to the possibility of a Phil. I think this is just for the purposes of filling in some gaps and giving us this whole 60-minute episode because I don't feel it. I don't see it. Same thing with Frank and Mumin. I don't feel it. I don't see it. Now, again, might be a whole lot that we missing in this editing process. But from what I see, from where I sit, that's where I am with it. Okay? So the guys deliberate, and it got a little heated. It didn't get as heated as the ladies' deliberation. But baby, when Dante told them what happened with Zadia, because at first he played it cool. He really didn't say nothing about it at first, but then he came back around to it. And Tommy, turned to Naeem and was like, "That's not a red flag for you," and he was like, "Nah." He was like, it ain't a red flag for me because she doesn't do that with me. She doesn't show me that person. And, you know, the rest of the guys were like, you may not have seen that person, but he's telling you that that person lives there. Like, granted, she was mad at him about the situation, but who's to say that that's not who she is when she gets angry? Like, the same thing what they were saying to Cornelius about Camille, like, it's not a red flag for you. And Naeem was like, no, nope, it's not. And he was starting getting a little irritated. But ultimately, what I think he was irritated about is the same thing with Camille and Cornelius. You're not irritated that they have these opinions. You're irritated because you know that if Zadia goes home, you next to go home because you don't have a connection with nobody else. Like Zadia told you that at the beginning of this episode that you were in the bottom because the lady said you ain't had no connection. And at this point in the game, you have no desire. And listen, I can respect that because we are damn near at the end of this road, okay? There's no need for you to start anything that you haven't already been nurturing. You can't call Sydney up after all this time and say, let's go out for drinks, and you ain't called her or reached out to her. No. So that's disingenuous. So Zadia's name came up, and Mumia's name came up as well, because again, I told y'all, she already done burned her bridge with Walter, and Frank ain't really feeling her like that. Like she's definitely not his number one. And at this point, we're down to the bottom, y'all. It's the number one, or it's number one or go home at this point. So, Walter went to go talk to Mumin, and Naeem went to talk to... No, Phil went to talk to Zadia. So, Phil was asking Zadia, and Zadia showed up with an attitude because I think, one, she probably figured this was her elimination, and two, she knew Phil was going to come at her about what happened. She knew that Dante was going to go back and tell everybody what happened. So she already had an attitude, and Phil was like, well, tell me what it is. Like, what did happen? Like, give me the breakdown. And so she told him, from her point of view, and he was like, well, that's not cool. Like you can't be putting your hands on people, and she was like, well, I felt disrespected. He was like, how? Like, what did he do to disrespect you? Well, he wasn't communicating this with me, and he wasn't telling me this, and he wasn't telling me that. And Phil was like, bruh. Like, Phil was so cool with it. Phil was like, bruh. And basically, he told her it's time for you to go. Matter of fact, she didn't even let him say it. She was like, let me guess. The guy decided I'm not ready to love. He was like, how you going to take my line? How you going to take my line? But basically, that's what it was. And then me and Walter went to go talk. And again, they were kind of rehashing what happened down to the house. And Mumin was like, well, I haven't heard from you since we left the retreat. So, I mean, is that just what it is? That's what you do. It's just over. And he was like, well, we were talking. We were having a disagreement. I was trying to clear the air. You got up and you left. I thought that was a pretty clear message you were sending me that you were done. So that's just what you do. You just give up that quickly. I don't think it's a situation where he give up that quickly. I think it's a situation where he doesn't. I think it's a situation where he ain't gonna beg you to stay. Okay, I think that's what it is. I don't think it's giving up quickly as it is. I'm not begging you to do nothing. Okay. But they were able to clear the air a little bit. But she had an attitude. I think she was really hurt because I think she was really feeling Walter. And again, she was in her feelings about the fact they brought up the whole music room, and she felt like, I felt like, I mean, you pulled away from me, and you wouldn't even do this, and you wouldn't even do that. And he was like, but I think in a nice way he was trying to tell her, but you saw us with Sabrina. Like, you saw me and Sabrina were having a moment. Like, we were having a moment. So I don't know anyway, child, but they seem like they cleared the air, I guess. The other thing we found out about Phil, real quick before I get to the end, the other thing we found out about Phil was that Phil, he regrets the fact that he wasn't able to give his mom grandkids. His mom passed away, and she said that, he said that he was her best friend. And he does feel bad that that's the one thing that she wanted that he wasn't able to give her. So him and Sydney sort of had that conversation. So that was really the biggest thing with that. Now, Naeem went to go talk to Tommy and basically told Tommy, listen, Zadia was the only woman here who I had a connection with. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to go through the rigmarole just to go through the rigmarole. I think it's disingenuous if I were to try this process at this point. So let's do it. I'm just going to self-eliminate. And Tommy respected that because again, at this point, we are at the end. If you don't have a connection with anybody, then there really is no need for us to keep playing this game. You know. Anyway, that's what it is. That's what it was. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Talk to y'all later. Peace.